Welcome to 8 Minutes Reading Channel today. I will read episode 1.40 on part 8. Sustainable Forest Management Mechanism. From Article 509 to Article 522. Article 509. Mechanism for greenhouse gas emission reduction from deforestation and degradation. Read plus. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and subnational administration shall collaborate with relevant ministries and institutions to implement mechanisms for greenhouse gas emission reduction from deforestation and degradation. Red plus. To promote sustainable forest management, increase forest carbon stock, and encourage local community livelihood. Article 510. Reforestation. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and subnational administration shall enhance and promote reforestation in degraded forest lands to improve ecosystem and biodiversity value in sustainable forest management areas. Article 511. Tree plantations. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources shall develop technical guidelines to determine the rules on tree plantations to encourage people to plan and maintain tree plantations for sustainable forest management and to meet environmental, economic, and social targets. Article 512. Prevention and control of wildfire. 1. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources shall prevent and control wildfires by establishing a wildfire combating committee to work in forest areas. 2. Citizens, the armed forces, and subnational administration shall be obliged to protect and preserve forests and prevent wildfire. Article 513. International Standard Forest Certification and Management. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources may develop a broadcast concerning international standards for a certificate, which includes but is not limited to the following. A. Implementing procedures to trace and label timbers. B. Wood and pulp products and non-timber forest products confiscated or determined not for domestic consumption. Article 514. Nationwide Permitting and Monitoring System. 1. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources shall develop a committing and monitoring system for the production and consumption activities of all timber products from sustainable forest management areas. 2. A permitting and monitoring system shall be required for all operators to follow the permit requirements as stated in this code. Chapter 7. Wild Plants Protection. Part 1. Responsible Institutions. Article 515. Responsible Ministry or Institution. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and subnational administration shall protect, conserve, and manage wild plants in natural protected areas. Wild plant management outside natural protected areas should be under the authority of the ministries or institutions responsible for forestry. Article 516. Roles and Duties. 1. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and subnational administration shall have the following roles and duties. A. Develop draft policies, strategic plans, action plans, and legal instruments and enforce the laws related to wild plants management. B. Research, monitor, and evaluate the economic, social, cultural, and environmental aspects of wild plants. C. Assess and manage alien non-native species, or those non-existent in the Kingdom of Cambodia. D. Develop a category list to manage and protect wild plants, especially the threatened species. E. Establish a national list of threatened wild plants and those listed in the appendices of the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora. F. Undertake measures and mechanisms for wild plant conservation, management, and utilization and sustainable ecosystem management. G. Restore threatened wild plants and ecosystems with a high risk of extinction. H. Compile, manage, and disseminate wild plants database and ecosystem information. 2. allocation of specific functions, roles, and duties to each administration of subnational. Administration shall be determined by subdecrees. Article 517. Cooperation of competent ministries or institutions. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and subnational. Administrations shall collaborate with relevant ministries or institutions to share information and data on threatened wild plans and ecosystem crimes as follows. A. Findings of national and international investigations on illegal trafficking and transportation of wild plants and species of trees. B. Reports on confiscating threatened wild plants as stated in this code and illegal tree species as stated in relevant provisions. C. Legal complaint documentation concerning the threatened wild plants and ecosystems. Part 2. Classification of wild plants. Article 518. Wild plants. All species of wild plants that are components of natural resources should be regarded as state property, except where they are subject to special provisions of this code, relevant laws, and legal instruments. Article 519. List of wild plant categories. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and subnational. Administration shall coordinate and collaborate with relevant ministries or institutions to record and manage a list of wild plant categories, including threatened categories, for management and protection purposes. The list of wild plant categories shall be determined in a process of the minister, responsible for environment and natural resources. Article 520. Wild plant categories. 1. Wild plants are divided into the following 8 categories as follows. A. Category 1. Extinct EX. B. Category 2. Extinct in the wild EW. C. Category 3. Critically endangered CR. D. Category 4. Endangered EN. E. Category 5. Vulnerable VU. F. Category 6. Near threatened NT. G. Category 7. Less concern LC. H. Category 8. Data deficient DD. 2. The above categories shall be determined in accordance with the actual situation in consultation with relevant stakeholders and technical experts. 3. The definition and criteria for each wild plant category above shall be based on actual situations and scientific data. 4. Wild plant categories shall be updated based on actual situation and criteria in compliance with the provisions of this code. Article 521. Upgrading wild plant categories. All wild plant categories may be upgraded to a higher category based on the level of risk or threat, wild plant status, and cultural heritage value or economic significance in accordance with the categories as stated in Article 520 of this code. Part 3. Prohibited activities affecting wild plant habitats. Article 522. Prohibited activities affecting wild plant habitats. Activities that destroy or cause changes to natural habitats of threatened wild plants directly or indirectly shall be prohibited, except for permission from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources or subnational administrations in accordance with the provisions in Chapter 7 Wild Plant Protection, Section 2 Management of Natural Resources, Cultural Properties, and Ecotourism in Natural Protected Areas, in Book 4 of this code. Thank you for listening, and see you in Episode 1.41 on Article 523.